So I'll try to get through this as simply and quickly as possible. So you might have heard of the SNC-Lavalin scandal. It's become really big. It completely exploded today, which is why I'm doing this video. So it is a huge company based in Quebec, and that's part of the issue here. So they do all kinds of infrastructure, construction, engineering, stuff like that. They're a company that actually builds stuff, which is a good thing. And a lot of their business is based on government contracts. That's in a lot of cases, I think it's like a majority of their money comes from government contracts. Now, if you know anything about Canadian politics, you know that a game that's often played is giving Quebec money to prevent it from separating from Canada. So Quebec is very good at getting the federal government to fund projects there or base industry there, etc. So you have like Bombardier, there's a bunch of companies that get a lot of contracts. It's also, Quebec is a very politically important province since it's, I think, a quarter now of Canada's population, and it can be a swing province. It's kind of the Liberal Party's base, and they need to hold on to it to win. So it's very, very politically important. So this is one of many Quebec companies who gets a lot of contracts, in part to try to keep Quebec. Because one of the things Quebec will do is whenever they aren't getting what they feel is enough money, they'll start talking about separating until they get money, etc. It's something that a lot of people in the rest of Canada hate, but we're not really here to talk about that. So SNC-Lavalin were huge donors to the Liberal Party. Their executives donated tons and tons of money, one of their single biggest supporters. Now, it came out that they had bribed officials in Libya. So the details don't really matter, but basically they bribed a bunch of Libyan officials before and after the revolution. They also claim that there's all kinds of like stuff that happened. Someone actually wound up going to jail in Switzerland. Basically, it was a massive disaster, and it turned out there was a whole bunch of bribery going on. And the RCMP charged them with this a couple of years later. Now, the issue is if a company is convicted of this sort of charge, they are banned from doing business with the federal government for a certain amount of time. It's not really important how long, but they would be banned from that. And the company is dependent on government contracts. So this is a really, really bad situation for them to be in. It's a very bad situation for the Liberals. They're in power. If this company gets convicted and they lose the government contracts, it's going to collapse or restructure. Tens of thousands of people are going to lose their jobs. They're going to lose all kinds of votes in Quebec. They're not going to have these donors anymore. It's going to be a mess. In their slight defense, I don't know how much I really care that they bribed Libyan officials. It's an extremely corrupt country. It always has been. That's just kind of the way things go there. And I don't know if it's really justified. I get that it's the law to put like tens of thousands of people out of work, to punish people who aren't even, I think they had a big reform and they got rid of all the executives who were involved with it anyways. So to punish the company for something that happened 5 years ago with people who have long since left, 8 years ago, it just doesn't really make sense to me. So the government had recently passed a bill, and the bill said that instead of having it taken away, there's a remediation process. They would have to have a bunch of supervision, large financial priorities, penalties, ethics reforms, etc. It would be a huge thing. So Justin Trudeau and his government went to her and they're like, look, okay, so I should explain this. This is Wilson-Raybould, who is an Indigenous Liberal MP from British Columbia. So she was the Minister of Justice, but she got demoted to Minister of Veteran Affairs, which is Minister of Justice is like one of the highest posts that you could have. Some posts are more prestigious than others: justice, healthcare, foreign affairs, defense, finance. These are kind of the big ticket ones. So she was that, and Trudeau went to her, and we'll read a bit from her testimony, and basically said, look, this is politically really important. We need you to do the team a favor. We need you to charge the company under these new regulations. And from what I've heard, he initially framed it in terms of losing jobs, and she was somewhat sympathetic to that. Because, I mean, I'm going to be very fair here, and I think that's an ethical position to take, that it's too putative and maybe just give them a bit of an out of this one. But it went on that he just, it went into all outright threats. He said, you have to do this for political reasons, etc. So when she refused to do this, she got demoted to Minister of Veteran Affairs, which is, I'm sure it's important, but it's not Minister of Justice, which is in the top 5 most important cabinet spots. And then this started to come out, and other people started to talk about it. She didn't say anything really because client lawyer confidentiality. So Trudeau finally waived it, and she's testifying. And this thing is a disaster for Trudeau. This could be the entire election right here. Okay, so let's read a bit about this. For a period of approximately 3 months between September and December of 2018, I experienced a consistent and sustained effort by many people within the government to seek to politically interfere in the exercise of prosecutorial discretion, my role of Attorney General of Canada, in an inappropriate effort to secure a prosecution agreement. One second, Oh, sorry, that's my confusion. Attorney General and Minister of Justice are the same position. Sorry about that. Let's see here. In an inappropriate effort to secure a prosecution agreement with SNC-Lavalin. She's testifying before the House Justice Committee, which centers on allegations of political interference in a criminal case. And in her opening remarks, she said that the alleged pressure included veiled threats if she did not change her mind. The allegations she's responding to are whether or not she was pressured by senior government officials when she was Attorney General to instruct federal prosecutors to drop the criminal prosecution of Quebec construction and engineering giant and pursue a remediation instead. Let's see here. There's a long range of, more than 11 people. There's been other people who resigned. I think the Prime Minister's personal secretary resigned. This whole thing is just snowballing. During one conversation, let's see here. She had with the Prime Minister, she directly asked him if he was politically interfering with her role. The Prime Minister said, no, we just need to find a solution. In my view, these events constituted pressure. So, yeah. This is coming out. Let's see here. Lisa Raitt, who's no, sorry, that's not Lisa Raitt. This was another MP said, I've taught a generation of, I've known you for many years, and I need you to know that I believe you entirely. Let's see here. So there's also the issue that she is an Indigenous woman. A, she's a woman, and B, she's Indigenous. And this is Mr. Hyper social justice warrior PC. Justin Trudeau has come out against Gamergate because Gamergate is apparently something that the Prime Minister of Canada needs to concern himself with. But he's I'm the biggest feminist ever. I'm the biggest social liberal ever. And now it's basically he screwed over an Indigenous woman because she wouldn't play ball and do something illegal. I mean, it would be legal to change it, but it's very, very, very unethical, especially when this dude has built his entire image is just collapsing. So this could be the end of his time in office. Scheer might win by default because this is really, really bad. Anyways, hope you enjoy it. Talk to you guys.